just a poor boy from Liverpool. I'm just a poor boy from Liverpool.
Good evening, everyone. It's me again. It's history tonight, and I suppose a lot of other things that you'll be talking about. Certain things, that is. I don't know what you'll be talking about, but I want to show a few things, very historical about the city. Great. Really good, honestly. And then you can start chatting as, uh, as, as it goes from now on. And I know that you've got a lot to say about certain things, haven't you? But I just want to say a big thank you to my sponsors. They help us out immensely, Jason and I, with expenses and things like that. And it's got patent services, and there's the number there. And if you're an NHS worker and you want your place decorating, get these in because you get a special discount. And also, if you're an elderly person or couple, get them in. You get a special discount too. And I like to keep saying, if you don't fit into the categories, just call them, tell them to come down, have a look. They'll give you the price without any obligation. Any obligation. And they're all time served lads, every one of them. So, even if you wanted the outside, painting, just get them in. Rendering or whatever, get them in. And as I said, price without any obligation by the lads. So that's Gap Painting Services, the sponsors of Frank Carlyle's podcasts. All of them. Whether it's conspiracy theories, whether it's current affairs, football, you name it. I'll do the podcast. I just want to remind people tomorrow that tomorrow night that's we've got the Titanic documentary to show because someone I asked you if you wanted to see it again, and the overwhelming response was yeah. So that'll be shown tomorrow night. Okay, it'll be good. And if you haven't seen it, tell a friend or whatever to put it on. To put me on it tomorrow night. It'll be good. So that's what you have been saying. A thinking cap. Thinking cap. I don't think I've seen this fella on. I don't think so. Built by Masonic people to keep certain aspects of your hearts, minds, and souls busy. Wakey, wakey, how many willing to tell the truth? How many living in delusional, deluded ignorance? Choosing not to look. That was always the idea. Hook, line, and sinker. Point is, you see, that's not like for tonight. I've just mentioned it. That's for a Friday night, though. For current affairs, conspiracy theories, everything that goes in. Thinking cap. And the Ironside, cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Could quote that. Very sad to hear the terrible health update about Kevin Keegan. Only Englishman to win the Ballon d'Or. It is sad. Kevin the Keeg. I remember him leaving in '77 after the European Cup final. And I said, who are we going to replace him with? Who are we going to replace him with? And Bob Paisley had a master stroke when he brought in to replace Kevin with Kenny. You can't get any better than that, can you? What other team have ever done a thing like that? No. TW. Even in Frank in chat, evening tea. Evening tea. And like, share and subscribe, says the tea. Thank you, T. Thank you so much. And John Williams. Hiya, John. Hit the likes for Frank. Thank you. Still haven't had my tooth done yet, look. Have to wait for that Francine to come home. My old mates stay. Good evening to Frank and Chatters. Steve went down to see a mate of mine who came over from the States with his band, The Incurables, and he sent pictures up. And I got a message off. He's on his way home now, back to the States. He's flying out of Manchester, and he said, I met your mate, Steve. Nice fella. Nice fella. I said, I know he is. And hiya, Johan. Good evening, Frank and Legends. Smash the likes on the way in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Johan. It's the fellow with the Hollywood name. You know, like you could imagine it, couldn't you? You know, like a film with, you know, the young Betty Davis in, and George Brent and Cedric Lopez. Cedric would be the baddie. The Americans love, you know, like outside. Englishman is always a baddie. Any Englishman that plays, you know, that's in a Hollywood film, always a baddie in. And Cedric, unfortunately, would be a baddie as well. Trying to kill Bet Davis, I bet. Barry Aldridge, hiya, Barry. Even if Frank in chat, hope you are all happy. I think if you're a Liverpool supporter, I think you'd be happy. To be honest, the finest Monday, the finest new month that you could wish for. And you know the anthem, there's a golden sky. And that's what we're waiting for us now. A golden sky. Toscana. Buonasera, Franco and Chatters. Looking forward to another great hit. Thank you, Toscana. Thank you. Francine, you know she's in Lido di Eslo. And our Sophia, you know, she's 14 next week. She said, I want to live in Italy. And she wants to, I promised her she wants to go to a place called Athena, not Latina, which is on the coast. It's on the upper, Rome, like by Rome, and it's on the west coast. So Latina is by Monte Casino, casino. I've been there a couple of times actually to Athena because my great grandmother was born there, and it's like it's one of those stories which should be written about. I was going to write about it actually, It's star-crossed lovers, like Romeo and Juliet, because they were well-to-do people, and they decided to go down to Napoli for something. I forget what it was now, but anyway, they went down, and they took the two daughters with them, and just left the sons behind. So anyway, my great-great-grandmother, her name was Maria Gracchi D'Annunzio. So she goes down, and she's just walking around, with her parents, obviously. She's only, 16 years of age. And she sees this fella, and he's just standing there, he's looking at her. And it was my great-great-granddad as it came about. What had happened was, which was rather sad actually, she fell in love with him, and he fell in love with her instantly, like love at first sight. So anyway, she went back down to Napoli, when he went back, she was in love, terrible love. And she sneaked out and went down to Napoli, met him again, just met him. And they had to go back to Athena. Well, anyway, they got married in Athena. I've seen, all the paraphernalia in the church. And Santa Maria Assunta, the church, I think it was called. And anyway, she was ostracised. But, I'm not saying they were forced to marry, but they were allowed to marry. But she was, by her parents, she was... And that was it. That was it. Those two. But they lived a blissful, happy life. Happy. As I said, star-crossed lovers. He had nothing, me great-great-granddad. His name was Gaetano Volante. And, it was quite sad, actually, to be ostracised because she fell in love. And I was going to write a little thing about it, sort of play. But I said to myself, here's what you play here about two Italians. It's watch Romeo and Juliet, but not, Anyway, that's it. And Elijah. Hiya, Elijah. Hey, Frank. Watching from the States. Hope you're doing well. What's your thoughts on Slot sacking and favourite Keegan memory? I'll just say this about him. Do you know, there's an old adage, isn't there? Over the moon. That's me over there. I won't mention I'll never mention his name again because he broke so many hearts while it was here. He never embraced the city, Elijah. He didn't embrace the city at all. He didn't embrace the fans. He didn't embrace anything. And he lived in a different city. to commute to our training ground. That's all he ever did. Commute, living in another city. He always flitted off every single week to see his wife, either in Amsterdam or in Ibiza. My granddaughter, she said, it was only a few weeks ago, watching the game, and she said to her mother, "Mum," she said, "has Slot got it here?" I know I didn't, but I had to say it anyway because it's necessary. Has Slot got a sunbed? And she said, "What made you say that?" She said, he's tanned, look. And he'd been to Ibiza. And that's a kid. That's a young girl, a young little Liverpool supporter. Has he got a sunbed because he's tanned? So my favourite memory of Kevin Keegan. There's lots of memories, you know. There are a hell of a lot of memories. I was down at Wembley when we beat Newcastle in the FA Cup final, and the Kev scored. That was a great memory. That was a great memory. And another memory as well, I think it was the loudest noise I've ever heard in my entire life. And that's going back to 1977, when Liverpool played a French team, top of the, they were favourites to win the European Cup at the time because they had some fantastic players. They had a fella by the name of Rocheteau, and he was the French darling of football. He was incredible. He had another fella named Bethany and another fella named Six, you know, S-I-X, but he was pronounced Six. They were fantastic players, and others. And Kevin scored a goal. It was an unbelievable goal. He hit it. And it was to put us in the lead 1-0. But at the end of the game, when David Fairclough, when he was put through by Alan Kennedy, not Alan Kennedy, Ray Kennedy, the great, late Ray Kennedy, put the ball through to him and he hit the ball in the back of the net. Get in. And I was in the cop. I was only young. And I thought the cop, I'm sure it lifted. And I had tetanitis in my ears for a couple of days. I really did. The roar was, I've seen I've heard roars since, you know, which are deafening. But that roar will always stay with me. And that's one of the great memories of Kevin the Keegan. Loved him. Little fella. Never ever moaned, you know. Him and Toshak. It's like telepathy between them. They just knew exactly where they were. Even if they were the back of them and the ball was coming down, either Keegan or Toshak could put it right to them. If you know what I mean. Incredible player. Kevin Keegan. Loved him. Everyone loved little Kev. And we were all disappointed that, you know, he just wanted to move on. And everybody, including myself, I think I just said it before, I was saying, who can we replace him? Who are we going to replace him with? And the answer was Kenny, the King. And in the last few years, we've had two kings, haven't we? King Kenny and King Mo, the Egyptian king. So they're my memories, to be honest. Kevin Keegan. And his goals, by the way. Great goal scorer. A great number 7 on his back. Kevin Keegan. And it's so sad to hear of his illness. So sad. And Edward. Hello, Frank and chat. Hello, Edward. Hello. And Edward says, I went to the museum next to Central Library last week and went to the planetarium there. It was good, the way they've done it. Yes, I've always loved our museum. I really have. Always loved it. It's a good little museum. But I think our library, the Central Library, is one of the best in the whole of the country. Fantastic. Used to do a lot of studying there when he had to, in my uni days. And Carl, there's our Frankie. Hope you sound, Frank. Thank you. I am getting a lot better. Hey, Frank. No Red Scouser John from St. Helens. I reckon Iriola is a gold nugget. He's brilliant. No. He told me to F off, didn't he? All because I like Mo Salah. Scouse John. Scouse John. Come on. Scouse John from St. Helens. Come on. Give me a break. And all because I said I like Mo Salah. Everybody, every football fan, even Johan, our friend Johan, the Man United supporter, he likes Mo Salah. That Goldridge, the big Man United fan, he likes Mo Salah. And Alice, the other Man United fan, they've got a little podcast. She likes Mo Salah. Everybody. And because I said I liked him, he told me to F off. I'm a clown. I'm a clown. You can't make these things up. I'm a clown on the show and cheek, don't I? Got to get that done, Neil Purcell. Hi, Neil. Hi, Frank and Chatters and fellow Reds. I watched that movie, Still Life. Wow. I'm still feeling it. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Eddie Marsden. It's such a poignant film. And I've always recommended it to, Oh, by the way, I'm having it on Thursday. I'm having a film night, film and TV review night. I forgot about that. And you just reminded me there, Neil. But I've got a great couple of films to lined up, for you to watch. Really have. Crackers there. And if you like that, Eddie Marsden's Still Life. There's a couple more. I love poignant films and I like clever films as well. And I keep telling people, Neil, to watch a film called, it's with Nicolas Cage. And I think it's a great, it's a clever film. A very clever film. And it's called The Family Man. The Family Man. It's good and clever. is the master. Are you master? Because even in Frank, even though it's grey outside, the sacking of Arm was like an antidepressant for the soul. Can't argue with that. I cannot argue with that, master. Really. And he carries on by saying, my wife is away, and my dog recently died. So I felt pretty lonely until I heard your voice. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'd like to laugh a little bit more, but look at that. Yeah, you can't go. You can't. Good grief. Got to get it done. But I'm not paying £2,000 for it. It's not worth it. So I'll have to wait for Francie. She'll be home this week. She'll be home at the end of the week. So I hope to get it done within the next week or so. At a cheaper price than £2,000. And Steve, the old mate, the one good thing about Iraola coming to Liverpool is that Kirkers will get rid of his shackles. Yeah, I think it's a good point there, actually, because I really believe that with these new players we got in the summer, and as I said, I call him the chef, as you know, and he couldn't mix the ingredients to bake the cake, if you know what I mean. So he couldn't play those particular players. He was all over the place. He never had any motivation, or I don't think he has any skills. I really don't think he has any skills, and that's why Liverpool was so dreadful. Even the players that we bought. But that's just me. And a lot of other fans as well, by the way, not just me. And the master, not saying I love you, Frank. Just like to listen to you. I'm not cracking on to you. Sorry if I came over like that. No, don't be silly. Do you know what? That what you just said there, what came to me was a mate of mine. Right? And he didn't half fancy this. Well, this is when we were younger, you know. And he didn't half fancy this girl. And he was always asking her out. And he said, she's always, I said, why won't she say yeah? And he said, she's always washing her hair. And I went, oh. I said, ask her out on a Saturday night. And he went, okay. And then I seen him. He said, I asked her again, Saturday night, do you want to go out Saturday night? I said, what did she say? She said, she's washing her hair. I don't think he could take the hints. That reminds me of what you just said, Master. She's washing her hair. What did she say? She was washing her hair. I don't think he ever took her out. Funny though. Spot on Stevens says, Barry. Yes, about Kirkers, that is, obviously. And Toscana, my grandparents eloped. As 11 children. I had a happy marriage till my nonna passed away in 85. And he had a happy marriage. Yeah. And she, your grandmother, just for people who doesn't understand, Nonna, and Nonno's a granddad, by the way. Oh, that's sad. But they lived to a ripe old age, you know. And they had children, obviously. Then they had my grandparents. And when they moved in the 20s to England, my mother was a young girl, and you know, her siblings, which became my aunties and the brothers, my uncles, and my mother was leaving for New Zealand, and I don't know whether I always get mixed up. It was either me nonno or nonna, you know, me granddad or my grandmother. And said, look at your great grandparents there. They're very frail. It'll be the last time you'll ever see them. So give them a big hug and a kiss. And at that moment, she just said, I'm not going. And that was where my dad lived. He was a New Zealander. And he was a war hero in the SBS during the war. But that's another story. Little old me. Yeah. And Cedric says, promises not to be the bad guy, but always ends up as one. That's it, Cedric. Honestly, mate. And Christopher, hi, Frank and everyone, like and subscribe. I'll have to start cracking on with me history, boys and girls. And Cedric says, Woodmaster, sorry for the loss of your, yeah. You know, when you lose a pet, it's... And the master, do you remember Keegan and Toshak guessing what card the other one had to see if they had telepathy? I'm sure it was a thing before the FA. It was. It was. And I'll tell you where they got the idea from, and it was from Russia, the Soviet Union then. Because you had two people. It was a fella and a girl. And they were guessing what was in front of them. You know, they were looking at it. And the other person, you know, behind closed, like a curtain it was. And sort of a curtain. And they couldn't see each other. And they were guessing what it was. And they got every single one of them right. Even a fella, you know, one of the people standing there doing these experiments, I think he was a psychologist or something, I don't know what he was. And he pulls out something out of his pocket and he put it on the table where, I don't know whether it was the girl or the fella was looking at it, so that the other person could say what it was. And he got it spot on. And it was a coin. A coin. So, yeah, it was Master before the game. Hello, Frank in chat, says Phil. Hiya, Phil. Hiya, mate. Good to see you. And the master said, has anyone seen a film called Dead Man's Shoes? It's a British film. Tim on shoes. Do you know what? I don't know. I've seen that many. And the Polo. I like Polo. Hi, Frank. Thanks for your reply before. Oh, no. I tried to, honestly, I tried to reply to everything. This is why I keep saying, there's the people on here, they take all the time to comment, no matter what we're doing. And I think they should be read out. And I really don't think that they should pay. What for? What for? And, there's one there, well, two. And I'm not mentioning the name. But I was trying to say hello to Jan Mulby because I know Jan. Jan knows me, obviously. And he was on this podcast. And I tried to say hello to him. I did put comments, put it up. But it didn't show. And what came up underneath was, if you want to comment, you've got to pay. And I think it's wrong for anybody, especially football fans. And me being a Liverpool supporter, I don't think anyone should be paying to comment. They're taking their time. No matter what you're looking at, no matter if you're looking at a TV and film night, or current affairs, or anything, football, you shouldn't be paying, especially football, because these are fans and they want to express their feelings. And they should be read out. And as I said, this particular thing that Jan was on, you're paying for these ones, by the way. You're actually paying. And sometimes it comes up for about less than 3 seconds. Less than 3 seconds. Just puts it up, bang, gone again. And I think it's wrong. There's other pods that, you see the comments going up, but none's stopped and read out or anything until you pay a super chat. But that's me. Frank, did you get the email I sent about the Red Scouts John's profile? He's a Zionist. No wonder he has a problem with you naming Mo in your top 3 because of Palestine. Yeah. Told me to F off. Told me I'm a clown. And as I said before, Johan, everybody likes Mo Salah. He's the only player, and I go back to the Shankly days, with a smile on his face. Always a smile. A beautiful human being. So you're right. Thank you, Johan. I knew you too. I knew you'd do something. And Johan, to the master, brilliant film that. Paddy Constantine was real. Oh, I'll have to have a look at that. I like Paddy Constantine. Have I seen it? I like him. God blimey, is Mark Doyle. Better bar at that, Frank. It takes 15 years off you. Don't say. When I get me tooth then, I hope it takes 30 years off me then, with me balance, as you said. Mark Doyle, he does wonders for mental health. Even my daughter, Francine, she went on, they were raising money, and he went up to Scotland. He lives in Scotland, Mark, albeit he's a Scouser. And he goes on these, I call them mad walks, hiking up mountains and everything, to raise money and awareness for mental health. And he does it all the time. Albeit we have differences over there, football. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And he's one of the nicest people. I said to our Francine, I said, do you really want to go? She said, yes, Dad. I want to raise money for mental health issues. I said, oh, okay. Because she was a mental health nurse at the time, or studying for it. I don't know what she was doing. And I bought her one of those cameras, you put on your head. Never ever seen the film, though, you know what I mean? She still got, I think she brought it there to Lido with her. Cheers, Mark, mate. Good to see you. Thank you. And Davey. All right, Frank. Thoughts and prayers for the legend Kevin Keegan. Idolised on... Yeah. Idolised here also. Idolised here, Davey. It's a bloody shame to lose so many good people. Good people. And he wasn't a nasty person either, was he? He just wasn't a nasty person. He was just an ordinary lad. Married young, had kids, still together. Thanks, Cedric, says the button. And the master says, you read everything, Frank, and go off subject by doing it. But that's why we all watch. It's called respect. Thank you. Thank you. I've always said, my philosophy's always been so simple. Show a little respect and you'll get loads back. Respect, that is. Loads of respect back. I've always said that. I think, us being like the old school and things like that, I was always told to respect the elders. And I remember, genuine this, I used to go to my mate's house, and they're there all the time. Genuine, honest to God, genuine. And when I'm you just goes on you, and every Christmas Eve, I always used to go out. And I used to go down to this lady's house, my mate's mother. And I always brought her a Christmas card and a box of chocolates. Every Christmas Eve. And you're not going to believe, honestly, you're not going to believe what I'm going to say. And I got a phone call saying that she died. And I went, no. No, I never got the phone call. The one who was with at the time did. And I said, no. So I was putting it in the Echo, a little thing, like, acknowledgement. And as I was talking to the person at the Echo, and she said, well, what's her first name? I said, it's Mrs. Flaherty. She said, no, what's her first name? I said, I don't know. And I never knew her first name. All as I knew her as growing up from a child to growing up into adulthood. Mrs. Flaherty, I didn't know her first name. I didn't know her name. And the woman said, just hold on a minute, to do this verse thing. And she said, there's lots of people. She said, does she come from Jerry Crescent? I said, yeah. She said, well, her name's Lil. And lots of people from Jerry Crescent and Jerry Gardens is acknowledging. I said, thank you. And that's how I found out her name. Lovely lady. But what I'm saying is we showed respect to all our mates as parents, Mr. and Mrs. That's what we give them now. It's Hi Frank, good slots gone. Can't stay in bed and can't stay in bed. Oh, hang on, can't stay in bed in hospital. Are you in Aussie now? Oh, sorry. And the master said, I nearly paid to call one of them a prick one night. Should have done. Now I wouldn't even bother paying. And Davey says, I was at Keegan's debut for the tune in 1982, queued for 3 hours to get in. Yeah, he went to Hamburg from here. He just wanted a change in 77. And as I said, Davey, who the hell are we going to replace him with? Because he was that good for us. A Ballon d'Or winner. Think about that. And we replaced him with Kenny Dalglish. Mo is a legend, truly, because of his numbers in a short time, and he's a winger, not a. I keep saying that. He's a winger. He's not a striker. He's got the striking goals, but the winger's ability. Look what he did. Do you ever remember? I have to say this. I've got to say it, to prove a point, that's all. Do you ever remember him? It was against City, against Watford, against Everton, and against Tottenham. And he did the same move. It wasn't a one-off. It was proved because he did the same move with against those teams where he beat about 3 or 4 players. He just bamboozled them. It was incredible. And scored the goal. Each time he bamboozled them, he scored. Now, if that would have been Ronaldo, if that would have been Messi, well, you still see Messi goals today, don't you? You still see the great Ronaldo's goals. And you do see Mo's, but it would have been more exposed. Like the likes of Ronaldo and the likes of Messi. And Steve Holland, Antoine Semenyo said Arola's training sessions were grueling and they never had much time off. Well, the thing is, Steve, You know, we were used to that until this fella came along. I'll never mention his name again, by the way. Like the Northern Irish fella, because he disrespected our fans. The fella who's just left. He not only disrespected us, you could see it by the time when he went out into the middle of the pitch, the fine old pitch, and announced to the crowd that he was leaving at the end of the season to take up the Liverpool job. And I said at the time, I said, who's this fella? Never heard of him. He's disrespecting the fine old fans there. Don't want him there, my club. I hope he gets someone else. And I said it at the time. And I never ever liked him after that. Disrespectful. And it's been proved. He disrespected my city. The city where I was born and bred and still live in today. By not living here, commuting here. That's the way I look at it. And I know Johan's with us. And I said on a pod, I said, could you imagine Michael Carrick? You know, he's done wonders for Man United, by the way, since he took over from Amarim. I said, could you imagine the Man United fans, all made up with Michael Carrick. And all of a sudden they find out that he's living in the city centre of Liverpool. They go mad. I think they all come down, pick Michael up and throw him in the Mersey. You want to live here? Well, he has to go and swim here as well. See what I mean? I know they will, but that's the way it is. That's it with me anyway. And my brother met Keegan at our local club where he was handing out medals. He looked at KK's belt and said, Can I have that? And he gave it. Go away. His belt, one of them, snake clasp belt. Go away, did he? Isn't that lovely? That's a lovely little... that really is a lovely gesture, that, and great memory. One of the finest memories. And Stephen says, Keegan was my first football idol. I think he was everyone's. Yeah, I can quite gather that. To see football is so different today, isn't it? And the poet. Keegan was one of the greatest players in our history. Yes. Yes. That goal he scored against San Etienne put us on the way to Rome. Never forget that. I never forget that. The opening goal against San Etienne. And we got beat over there, 1-0. That's San Etienne. And then, the next game was at Anfield. Salute. But you're right there, poets. And Davey. Keegan signed Rob Lee. He told him Newcastle was closer to London than Middlesbrough, as Lee is a cock. Go away. And I suppose they believe it, don't they? That's a Shankly type thing. He used to take off Shankly as well, He used to take off Shankly and Paisley. Did Kevin Keegan. It's nearer to London than Middlesbrough. That's a cracker, that. And the poor, we hadn't won a trophy in 6 years, and we're drifting. We wasted big money on the likes of Tony Aitley and Alan Evans, and even Toshak looked cumbersome. I remember meeting Alan Evans down in Torquay. I went down there, to work the season, and Alan was there. And there was, a few of us, a few lads, and, all down there. They were all working. And we were outside, we were looking in the cafe and shouting Alan Evans. Alan Evans, na. Felt like then, not like now. And he felt so embarrassed. Turned his back on us. Alan. And Phil, Frank, you're right about respecting people. All the mates' parents addressed as Mr. and Mrs. No swearing. No, I never ever did. Never. Absolutely. Bang on, Phil. Bang on, mate. I'm going to go for a break in a minute. I really need a cup of tea. Everyone has a cup of tea. I'm trying to make my teeth grow. I think if you drink loads of tea, your teeth grows. Your teeth. Tooth. Once Keegan signed, everything changed, says the poet. Toshak suddenly looked a world beater next to the Kev. Yes. I seen him at Mass. He was a Catholic. Because I went to church. And I'll tell you where I went to church. People will know this. I went to church by Williamson Square. There's it. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was in. Do you ever remember the News Theatre? It's well gone now because of that bloody precinct thing. In there. Seen him in there. I had to go to confession, to go to a funeral. And he was in there. Kevin the Keeg. And Neil says, okay, Frank, it's called respect. I was best man at my cousin's wedding in Jarrett Gardens. He married Francis Costello, whose family Costello lived in. Yeah, know the Costellos. Lovely name as well, Francis, isn't it? With an A. With an A. Francis. And Davy says Salah is respected by all. True football. Yes. Thank you, Davy. And Space Monkey says, Carrick sacked by Middlesbrough yet. Steven Gerrard never gets a look in. No. I'm quite surprised at that. I'm just going to read this and the next one, short. Many people credit Kenny with what Kev. Yeah, you're right. Kenny joined the best team in England and Europe. The team an ace away. Oh yeah, the team an ace away from doing the treble back when doubles happened twice a century. Yes. Great point, that. Great point, that, poet. And sure, important message intended to be conveyed to Arne Slot, former Liverpool manager. No, he wasn't his former coach. Couldn't manage a sweet shop, unfortunately. Slot, wherever you are, hope this reaches you. Thank you for the service. I know firing is harsh, but stay strong. Oh, fucking hell. I'm gonna go and have a cup of tea. Here's a little break. Okay, thank you, Jason. This is the poshest chimney in the world, and I wouldn't look out of place on the streets of New York next to the Empire State Building, for example. When I say chimney, what I mean is it's an air vent for the Mersey Tunnel, and there's one on the other side of the water in Birkenhead. This is another masterpiece by Liverpool's own finest Art Deco architect in the world, Herbert J. Rouse. Even though it's just an air vent, the details that went into it, Art Deco details, is amazing. And that was typical of the 1930s. When you look at the basalt statues, one has its eyes open and the other has its eyes closed, that represent day and night because the tunnel is used 24 hours a day. Even though the bells of St. Nicholas's are calling the congregation for the service, I'd like you to stay with me just a minute longer. And what goes completely unnoticed here in George's Dock Way is the statue of Amy Johnson, the greatest female aviator of all time, and the sculptor Edmund C. Thompson. When we talk about detail, Thompson even put a goggles and a scarf on. Before we go to our next Liverpool Unnoticed, have you ever seen this fine specimen of an eagle? I'll let you know where it is before we finish. What star sign are you? Capricorn, Taurus, Sagittarius? No matter what star sign you are, it's up here on the Cunard building. We've been on the streets of New York with Amy Johnson, but where can I take you now on Liverpool Unnoticed? How about Rome? When you walk down Dale Street and look up, what you will notice is the roof of India buildings. It's no ordinary roof, because the architect, Herbert J. Rouse, has a Roman theme. And when you look closely at it, it becomes a Roman villa. Up close, India building looks very impressive. But to get the feel of the Romanesque villa, go to the top of William Brown Street for an absolute clear view.
I promised earlier I'd show you the fourth liver bird. Well, there it is, on top of the art gallery, right next to Liverpool personified. And doesn't the crown make a wonderful nest for the seagull?
Sorry about that. I'm very slow. I can't make, it takes ages to make a cup of tea. And I mean, ages. I had fellas coming last week, and by the time I opened the door, work fellas, by the time I opened the door, they'd gone and just left a message, like a card. And I phoned them up today. And they said, I said, I know I've got your cards here. I'm awfully sorry. And I explained that I can't get to the door as normal. And by the time I opened it, you're gone, I said. And they said, don't worry, we'll be there tomorrow, 1:00, and we'll wait for you to open the door. But what I meant to tell them was, I'll leave the door unlocked tomorrow. I'll leave it unlocked, just walk in. But I never said it, and I didn't like to phone him back. So anyways, I just have to get up. He's going to wait, he said, until I open the door, because he knows that I'm in. Just said, don't go anywhere. And Phil to Davey. Davey, yes, Salah was brilliant and a really good man. The time he went to check on kids, remember that? Ran into a lamppost scare. He was running after the car, wasn't he? Trying to get a glimpse of him. Said a few weeks ago, Keegan was a proper. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Yeah, Space Monkey. Yeah, Mighty Mouse. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Mighty Mouse. That red number 7 shirt was already the most iconic shirt in English footy before Kenny put it on. Yes. Good shout, that, poet. The only football things I'll be doing, lads and girls, is recorded ones. I'm not doing any more live ones, for now, because the season's finished, the World Cup's coming up, and I won't watch. I'm being political. I will not watch the World Cup. Not while there's a team there, and you know what I mean. I'm not going to mention it. And the same country that they're representing is committing atrocities. So I won't be watching any of the World Cup. And as I said, yeah, well, as we always used to say, you and I and everybody, you shouldn't bring politics or religion into football. But unfortunately, it is with that certain country. Well, two certain countries, the one that's hosting it as well. Disgraceful. But that's another thing. That's for a Friday night. And Steve Mulholland, I still remember a picture of Keegan waiting to meet Shankly, and Kev was sitting there. He was, wasn't he? Wow, that's a great memory that to bring back, Steve. He was sitting on a bin. Sitting on a bin. That's why I always say, I'm sorry to bring football into this now, you know, but I have to, like what's gone on. That's why Liverpool should have a manager who can run the team and pick the players, not a coach. Someone in the background. And we had, you know, I'm talking about here. We had another fella. Now you know that the coach, lived in Manchester to be near the airport. I think he could have phoned me up and said, is there an airport in Liverpool? If you know what I mean. Or phones you up. Or phones anybody up. Phones a couple of people in America. Phones someone in Australia. Good idea, Mrs. G. Could have phoned there. And they would have said, yeah, there's a big airport in Liverpool. Big international. Named after some fella named John Lennon. And then we had a director of football. Never remember when I used to call him the Invisible Man? Little did I know at the time, the Invisible Man never came to any games or anything because he was still living in Bournemouth. That's the only caveat I have with Areola, to be honest, you know, Bournemouth. And that good news. Another mate of his, like the other fella was from Feyenoord, Davey says, Keegan tormented Bertie Vogts in the Europe. He did. And he got a penalty, didn't he? I was there. Davey. And one thing, one of the greatest memories, not of Kevin, was a fella who was standing behind me. And he was my age then, if you know what I mean. I was a young lad. And I turned around because I turned around, looked at him, this old fella, and he was crying. I said, "What are you crying for?" And he said, "I never ever thought I'd see the day to see my team in a European Cup final and win it. I never ever thought I'd see the day." And I'm talking about European Cup. Not like the UEFA Cup as we know today that the Shanks won. First European trophy Liverpool won. And I've never forgotten that. And Terry Mack scoring the very first goal in the Europe. I think he got what did he get? I think there was something up for grabs. I'm sure it was a Mini, a Mini Cooper car. Sure he got that. The first player to score in the European final. Terry Mack. Another great Newcastle player, Davey. Terry Mack. But Scouser. Kirbyite. $80. Remember Kevin Keegan on Superstars, Frank? Can you imagine players of today being allowed to do such a shot? No, he wouldn't. But yes, he was. Superstars. Kevin. Lovely comments, by the way, boys and girls. Really lovely. And the master says, I slapped my head so hard one night when I swore in front of my future wife. He dragged me, your dad. And he dragged me to one side and said, don't effing swear. We were brought up right. We were brought up correctly. Show respect. We were playing football. We were 18 years of age. Playing football, We always played in the square. Especially Sundays. And there was Mr. and Mrs. Stanton. And they were going out. I don't know where, it was in the afternoon. And, when you're playing football, they lived on the flat in the yard. And no, we were 18 years of age. And one of the lads were like, F off, you big dope. And he looked like that. He seen Mr. and Mrs. Stanton. And he ran over, he said, that wasn't me, it was him over there. That's true. That was him over there. He just looked at him and said, it's gone off. Absolutely, honestly, brilliant. I should write a book about it, to be honest. My memoirs. Chess Chambers, 21st birthday party. And I had to go and see Macbeth at the Empire. And they were shouting me. And they were saying, come on, are you ready? Because they were going to the pub first and going back to the house, because no venues then for their birthday parties, or even weddings for that matter. It's always in the house. And I said, I'm going to see Macbeth. And they were bring him along. And I went, I didn't want to explain. I just said, yeah, okay, I'll see you later. And when I went back, everyone's all doing this. And I walked in, gets a bottle of beer, because it was a little crates then, bottle of beer. And one of the lads come over and said, where's that Mac fella? Thought he was coming along with you. I said, that. And I didn't want to explain. And I just said, and he went home. I said, yeah, I'll come back here, because he didn't know anybody. Rather than me go into detail about Macbeth and the play. You can't make these things up, can you? Fantastic. Love me mates. And I just still wonder if that girl still washes her hair on a Saturday night. I wonder if she ever got married. She'd ever say to everyone, I'm washing my hair. And Phil says, Frank, I sent you a link of a video. It described the Enclosures Act. What the F? 1% of the population ended up owning 99% of the agricultural lands in the UK. I wasn't taught that. Wow. I'll have a look at that if you send me it. Wow. I have to have a look at that, Phil. Thank you. I will look at it. And Space Monkey said, Mighty Mouse was my hero, gutted when he left. Same as me, Space Monkey. You know, as I mentioned before, we were, who are we going to replace him with? He was our saviour, was Kev, little Kev. Sorry, I'll have to have a swig of this. Oh, lovely. I love a cup of tea, you know. And Phil says, good job, Jason. Enjoyed the gem of a short video. Well done, Frank. Thank you. I never seen it because I'll make myself a cup of tea. And Davey, but thank you anyway, you know, for enjoying it. And thanking Jason. And Davey says, sadly, too many people walk around with their heads down, mobile phones, etc. Our great historic cities have some fantastic architecture. Absolutely. Absolutely, Davey. Got to show you one here now. Bear with me. I'll just hide you a minute. Now, that was our first town hall, really, the exchange. That was our very first town hall. It's well gone now. And what you see, let's see. That's one of the greatest buildings here in Liverpool. And it's the Blue Coat Chambers. It was built during the Queen Anne reign. That's why it's a Queen Anne building. Absolutely amazing building. Amazing building. And the fella who designed it was a fella, he was really a Dutchman. And his name was Thomas Steers. But we anglicised his name to Thomas Steers. And Thomas Steers designed the very first wet dock in the entire world. It locks. Let the water in, let the water out. The very first start of the dock system throughout the world. And it opens its thing in 1715. 100 ships could fit in there. That's vast. But he also designed that particular wonderful, stupendous building. He designed that. He designed a lot of things, actually. But that's one of the prime examples. And you're right, Davey, about architecture. People do look up. Don't look up. Sad. Sad. Oh, God blimey. And the master says, a bit of history, it says that I'm happy with that, Frank, and some conspiracy videos, but I won't be watching the World Cup either, sadly. Not me. And you, Master. There's a couple of people who I know said no because of it. How can you watch something that's for Friday night? I'll be talking about it because we're so close to the World Cup. And Barry to Davey, you're right, Davey. Nobody ever looks up at the iconic buildings in front of them. And it's so sad, isn't it? I showed the actress Alison Steadman something, and she was amazed. She said, I didn't know anything like this. I said, okay. I brought Robin Gibb around, and he loved history. That's why, when he was coming to Liverpool, and he said, is he a historian? And he just said, he said, yeah, get him. And they asked me, and I brought him around, and I was showing him things. He said, I didn't realise what's on buildings here in Liverpool. He said, I see none down in London. He said, they're all fancy. He said, don't get me wrong. He said, fantastic. He said, but here, you're putting things up. Because I showed him a thing that I'm going to get Jason to do a picture of it. I'll promise you, I'll show you it next Monday. And this is what I showed them. And when I've shown people, when I was able, they couldn't believe it. They just could not believe it. And they looked at it. And there's another thing as well, and I showed them, and they couldn't believe this other thing. I'm going to get them to do them. I think I've got one on my DVD, and I've shown it, and it's incredible. But you could easily, even look at this thing and just look at it and think nothing of it. But, you'll think, oh, it's beautiful, that. But it's what's hidden. It's what's hidden on this frieze. Incredible. And when I pointed out, I pointed it out to Prince Charles at the time when I brought him around. And he was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, because I've got a cracking thing, and it's a beam. Press it like that, little beam, little green beam, and it doesn't half go far. And I was pointing it out, and he was really dumbfounded what I showed him. I didn't want to bring him around, but I had to, because he said it's your job. And this particular place like the back of your hand. So you have to bring him around. So I said, okay. But he knew a hell of a lot, I've got to say. He knew a hell of a lot about Liverpool. I said to his PR, I said, was he reading all this up? He said, no, he just knew it. Of this great city. And that was his PR. This great city, he said. PR said the great city, this great city knows a lot. Anytime trumpets brilliant. It's still crowd come on the TV. I switch over, feel better for it. Mark Twain said he never read a newspaper for 7 years. He said it was the happiest 7 years of his life. If I told you I never read any press after the 15th of April, 1989. Well, the 16th, 17th. Never. And even today is worse. What's going on, the propaganda, the misinformation, what's going on about a certain country. And yet the same people will not criticise. That's for Friday. I'm going to talk all about that. Really annoying. But this is a happy little show, this one. Talking about great people. The situation's moving terrible. I'm going to go just go and have a cup of tea. And that was it, Charles. I said, you fancy a cup of tea? This PR nearly fell through the floor. He went, His Royal Highness is on a tight schedule. He can't just go willy-nilly and have a cup of tea. I said, all right, then I'm going to see you. Ta-ra, Prince. Genuine, that's what I said, because all my... everything went drained from me. Or everything, because I held him. Grabbed hold of his arm to put him into the middle of the floor. And these fellas going, because you're told not to touch. And I just went. And that's when I said, do you fancy going for a cup of tea? Because everyone was at me. The situation is moving terrible. I cannot get and have a cup of tea. Nice gesture, though, Frank. And when I was walking away, as I said, the PR can't go. So as I was walking away, I just completely forgot his name. I forgot how to address him, because you're told how to address him. And he has a little pin in my lapel. And that was a microphone. Incredible, you know. They should have seen the security he had. And you wouldn't even think. But telling you now, you had the suits there. But these other people, like couples, you think that they'd be just at work. Anyway, as I was leaving him, when I said I'm going for a cup of tea, and he went, and I went, and I turned and said, I'll see you again, eh? And as I said, I forgot how to address him, and I just said, I'll see you again, eh, Prince? Got me cup of tea. Got a great letter off him, though. About 6 or 7 weeks later. Haven't got it now, like. And Phil says, yes, he was strong and lifted the front off as he was going from side to side. Hang on, yes, he was strong and lifted the front off. Who's this? Have I missed something? Oh. Keegan says, Dave, he came off his racing bike and Superstars grazed the hell. Oh. Don't remember that. But I remember him being on Superstars. And Phil said, yeah, he was strong and lifted the front off as he was going side to side. The lovely Bella. Want to say that to Franco and all family. Hiya, Bella. And she says to me, Franco, I hope you're feeling stronger. Yeah, I do. Thank you for that, Bella. I'm much stronger. And thank you for your reply. Your comments. I replied to you, didn't I? I just wish I could spell hallelujah. I hope that brought a little humour to you, Bella. Well, it's our Marshalla, isn't it? And Davy says that lassie was washing her hair all the time, must have been head and shoulders above the rest. That's true, Davy, honest. He never grasped it until I said, look, go and ask her to go out on a Saturday night, because it was always like on a Thursday or a Friday. And, like during the week, like a Monday or a Tuesday, do you want to go to Picks? Washing my hair. When I said go and save, go out on a Saturday night. Everyone goes out on a Saturday night. And when I said it, I said, well, what did she say? She's washing her hair. You can't fucking make it up, can you? And the master, I love coming into Liverpool on my narrow boat. Oh, go away. Through Aintree. Go away, what, master? So beautiful. Then first thing you see when entering the city is the library. Are you on one of them canal barges? I live by the canal. I was going to say I live by the canal barge. I live by the canal. I can meet you. I can tell you where to stop. Because one day, my mate was walking around. He said, come on, we'll go for a little walk. So I was walking around the canal where I live. And we were just crossing this loch. And he was one of them little boats, canal boats. And I said, hello. I said, are you enjoying yourself? And he went, oh, yes. And he has his lady with him, his wife. And I said, I've never been on one. He said, yeah, come on, have a look. And it was brilliant. Went on it, and had a look. And that was just by where I live. Then the locks opened and he was away again. Lovely. And Johan, Frank, can we do a film and TV show where we talk about movies that were filmed in Liverpool? Yeah. But the original setting, New York or Chicago, yeah, absolutely. And, when you're talking about London, it's... when you're talking about London, it's like, not saying Edwardian time, Georgian times, Victorian times, and Edwardian times. Yeah, absolutely. Sherlock Holmes was filmed here. With Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. I ran over and met them. Yeah, there's our Francine with a little Italian. She's in there. Ciao, Papa. Ciao, Bamba. Ciao. I hope our little Sophie is enjoying us. Well, she is enjoying us. She wants to live in Italy. My little granddaughter. Oh, it's been raining where she is, And Janet says, good evening, Frank and chatters. But they're going to Verona tomorrow, Francine and Sophia, to see Juliet's balcony. Anyway, Davey says, useless bit of trivia. That great hangover cure, Lucas says, was invented in Newcastle, probably something to do with all the alcohol we drank. Most probably. I'll tell you what, the original Lucas says was a horrible taste. But now it's all different. Different tastes. Nice. The obvious though. Even if Frankie Ladden chatters, look at all them for Frankie. Cheers, Humphrey. I know that your funniest reply, says Johan, when you told Thinking Cap, who said Formby is not in Liverpool, to go and play with his Google Maps. For fuck's sake. Oh, yeah. Was that him? Was that same fella? I didn't know that. Yeah, Z on him, yeah. Hallelujah. Yeah, see, when I said I couldn't spell it, yeah, spell for me. And Stephen says, I just seen Keegan coming off the bike in Superstars. It's on here. Oh, that's sad. Our little Kev. Can't be a coincidence that Milner retires just as Liverpool get rid of Sloot. Hope he comes in with Iriola and gets the players' fitness up to speed. Iriola's got a fantastic, but yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I think he needs a little bit of discipline. I think he needs a little bit of discipline. I always remember young Sterling, and the Northern Irish fella always picked on him. Always picked on him, giving him little notes, you know, when they would have meetings, and it was bang out of order. And young Sterling, he was great for Liverpool, Sterling, great player. And he transferred then to Man City. And unfortunately, 6 weeks later, the Northern Irish fellow was sacked. And young Raheem Sterling said, if I was have had an inkling that he was being sacked, I would have been a Liverpool player today. I would have just stayed until he went. It's like Mo, isn't it? And the Space Monkey says, went to Haywell on 81 to watch Barney's winner. Got back from guard duty. Go away. She's in the army. Thursday night, some knew, most never. Yes, got away. Wow, are you lucky? I could have been standing next to you in the Parc des Princes. Franco was Batman, parts of it, yeah. I'll find out a film, it's a new one. It's a new one with John Krasinski and Natalie Portman. Now, I love Natalie Portman because she's come out in defence of a country that begins with P against a country that begins with I. And they filmed up here in Liverpool. And it's brilliant. I couldn't believe it when I was watching the film. I'll get it, honestly, and I'll tell you all on Thursday. I'll tell you on Thursday what film it is. And it's good. It's good. But you want to see what's filmed in Liverpool. Brilliant. I remember The Hunt for Red October being filmed here. Oh no, I've got my tea, haven't I? Forgot about my tea. alive in there, look. That was the first building in the world, by the way. The first building in the world to use reinforced steel and concrete. Steel. Everything else was, all buildings throughout the world was iron. And we had the very first infrastructure building in the world. And it was a church of iron. St. George's in Everton, on the hill. So you're right, Bella. Yes, it was Batman. I once courted a lass who lived on a canal boat, says Stevie. But sadly, we drifted apart. I'll get me coat. We drifted apart. Cracking that. I'll get me coat. Funny. And Lucas says, is a sugar rush sometimes necessary, says Janet. And Johan, I think he's answering there, Bella. It was Batman. And the wood master says, Thiago left Barcelona as well, so he could be just. I got told he was actually. Alcantara, Thiago. I got told he was. And there's Phil laughing at Davey because him and his lovely girlfriends at the time on the canal barge drifted apart. And Jason, Fountain of Youth. I wonder if it'll go. I wonder if the Fountain of Youth, things like that. And Janet says, cheers, Frank. Yes, Bella. I also watched the film Apex from your recommendation. Imagine just going on your way. Then Bosch, yes. The Anfield robots, you should have just liked that. Can't please them all, can you? Can't please them all, master. Honestly. There's a few I want you to watch, though. As I mentioned the other night, so I'll say it again. If you haven't seen it, but even if you have seen it once, watch it again. And what a cast. Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, Dan Aykroyd, and that young lad who, he killed himself, drug overdose, unfortunately. I don't think he meant to kill himself, if you know what I mean. He just became a drug abuser. River Phoenix. And there was a lovely girl named Mary MacDonald, was her. You'd see her face, and you go, oh yeah, and you never see her anymore. But she was a good actress as well. She's in it. And Ben Kingsley. Come on. Ben Kingsley. And it's called Sneakers. Watch it. And there's a fella in it, same with a big moustache. You know, one of these like villainy type fellas in sneakers. And I seen him a few weeks ago. Because I always have that real crime on. Why did I do that? All that real crime on TV, you know, American. And I seen him start, and I went, that's an actor, that. And it was him. In an orange jumpsuit. I don't know whether he's got bail now or what, you know, I don't know, never even. But he was up for interfering with boys, minors. Obviously, he's denied it, but he's in it. And you'll see who it is when it, you know, about the big moustache. Sneakers. Oh, and Jason says, was that the film you were trying to think of? Fountain of the Truth. You wouldn't think that he'd come out with a little jokes like that. But I don't think it's a joke. I think he means it. Jason. And Johan says, I meant thinking cap from earlier tonight was the same Formby guy in the comments. Oh, right, okay. Oh, okay. I thought I'd seen his name before, thinking cap. That was about the other fella, wasn't it? Who's just being sacked about not living in Liverpool. Right. Yeah. Have you noticed they haven't swore tonight? And Davey says, my go-to film is, all right, The Life of Brian. Must have seen it hundreds of times. I don't like these jokes about my tooth, you know. And the old one's laughing his head off. Fountain of Truth. Because Jason came out with it. Jason, it's Fountain of Truth. Even Phil's laughing his head off. Sneakers is a brilliant early 90s film, says the master. Yes. Gotta watch it. There's a scene in it. And I was watching it the other night. And I was laughing my head off. Really laughing my head off. And it was Robert Redford and this woman. And he's got his thing in, getting instructions. Getting instructions. So effing funny. I'm glad someone liked it, Sneakers. And Phil says to Davey, that film is funnier when you've watched it a few times. The George Harrison funding it is legendary. Yes, they had no money, did they? And he funded it. He funded it to George, good old George. And Davey, I'm obviously biased, but the best film ever is Get Carter. I don't like Michael Caine in The Bum, to be honest, but when I'm sad, I just don't like him. to me, he's a greedy so-and-so. Micklethwait, that's his name. And I just don't like him for his greed. He'd do it proved to me that he'd do anything for money. And it was a film he did. And after the film was finished, he said, I don't want my name up there associated. He said, you're fucking being paid. Yeah, say, swore and that. Jeez. He said, well, you've been paid, buddy. He said, and your name's going up there and there. Because he hated it. Every minute of it. Reading the script, even doing the lines and everything in the film. And it was Jaws 3, I think. Was one of the Jaws things. And he said, and the interviewer said, well, why did you do it? He said, for the money. And I went, you greedy so-and-so. I never said so-and-so. You can imagine what I said. And I don't like him. But he was great in Get Carter. Brilliant. I'll tell you another thing he was great in. And I read this Jack Higgins book, and it was called The Eagle Has Landed. And he played Steiner. Now, Steiner was a real-life German fighting the Russians. And he's in The Eagle Has Landed. Very good film. And you get it on YouTube. I was going to tell you something. I was going to tell you on Thursday. But because someone mentioned him. Michael Payne in the Bum. And his greed. But he was great in Zulu as well. And there we say, Phil, I still see new things in the life of Brian. Absolute geniuses. And Jason says, my favourite Ben Kingsley performance has to be in the series Perpetual Grace. I've never seen it. I'll tell you one of his best performances. I know we played Gandhi and all that. There are two people who you'd never think that could play the perfect villain. I'll tell you them in a moment. Well, I'll tell you them now. And it was him in Sexy Beast, Ben Kingsley. The versatility of his acting is incredible. Ben Kingsley. Incredible. I'll talk about it more on Thursday night, if you don't mind. But as Johan said before, can you talk about films that was made here? I was actually in one that was made here. But you all didn't know that, did you? So I don't give out autographs. I was telling our Francis, she must have been about 16, 17. And it come on the telly. It was coming on the telly. I says, I'm in that. I'll show you. And she went, oh. She said, well, where? And I told her where it'd be. Just have a look. So anyway, after the film, and she was sitting watching it with her mates. And she came over to me. Not like, I was living somewhere else. And she came over and she said, I adore you. I said, what's the matter? She said, I've never seen your name in the credits. seen your name in the credits. What's that? Who's this? I missed someone. No. Stop it. Oh, yeah, that one, isn't it? Yeah. Ben Kingsley. Never seen it, you know. Can't get to that thing there. That message. Can't get to it. Sorry. And Jana says, language is moving. My Auntie Diane would be worried about saying sod off. Yeah, well, I don't know whether that's respect or just, I don't know. I think it's respect, Janet. Janet shouldn't be funny, but little girl swearing doing the ice bucket challenge made me laugh. Letter to Brezhnev was a favourite film of mine. That was in the, yeah, it was. Alexandra Pig and Margie Clark. I know them both, actually. Margie's a great actress. Don't know whatever happened to Alexandra. Very good actress. I think she should have changed her name, to be honest. Not being funny. There's my agent there. Johan. I've seen you in Fight Club, or rather your alter ego, Brad Pitt. See? So easy. You can easily, you know, say lovely things about me. Brad Pitt. I wonder if Brad would have one of them. But he hasn't got one of them, has he? Anyway, people, I think I'll finish. It's been wonderful. Absolutely wonderful tonight. Some great comments. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Well, I'm not saying, you know, some of you anyway. But I'll see you tomorrow night on, don't forget, the Titanic. You wanted it and you're getting it tomorrow night. And also on Thursday, film and TV review. Film and TV review. Should be good. And as Johan said, can you talk about some films made in Liverpool? Absolutely. Even the one I was in. I bet you'll be made up. Frank in the film. And Phil. Good night, Frank, and everyone. Thank you, Phil. Good night, mate. Thank you. And our Geordie, mate. Gangani, everyone. Gankani, everyone. Good night, mate. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. You're a good man. And it was nice here to talk about Kevin Keegle. I know a lad named Keego after Keegan. Isn't it just his name, Keegan? Call him Keego now, like, you know. And the woodmaster says, "Thank you, Frank and chat." No, thank you, Master, for joining us. And Christopher, night, Frank and everyone, up the history Reds. I never got much history in, did I? And say, night, Frank and chat. Thank you, say. And Jason says, "Can't make it tomorrow. I'm washing my hair." You can't make these things up, can you? That's Jen that about that lad, me mate. She wouldn't go out. The excuse, "I'm washing my hair." He said, "Sure, she washes her fucking hair every night, you know." I said, "Ask her out Saturday night. Say you're out Saturday." What happened? She's washing her hair. Oh, that's genuine. She's washing. You can't make these things up, can you? And the other one, "Thank you, Frank and legends. Take care and see you all for the the Titanic documentary tomorrow." Yolly. Little Janet. Good night, Phil. And the lovely Bella. "Thank you, Franco. And great night again. Thank you. Thank you, Bella. Hope you join us tomorrow. If not, Thursday." Gonna have my last slurp of tea. I'll be able to have something to eat now. Because if I ate before I come on here, I'd just drop off. Become lethargic. Salute. So I can't wait for these fellas to come tomorrow. And not only tomorrow, but I've got my grandson coming down, and he phoned me today. He said, "Granddad," I said, "What?" He said, "Do you need any shopping?" And I went, "Yeah, great, because I've run out of something which is important for me." And he said, "All right, Granddad, I'll see you on Wednesday." Okay, yeah, never said that. I just said, "Okay." See you on Wednesday. And Janet, good night, guys and gals. Good night, Janet. Barry, get another brew, Frank. Do you know what? Thanks for that. Thank you. Davey says, "It must be freezing, that's it." Do you know what? I can drink hot tea, tepid tea, and cold tea. Mad, that, isn't it? Mad. Today is Monday, Frank. Is it? Why? What did they say? Did they say I'll see you tomorrow night for the Titanic? This is Tuesday or Thursday for the film and TV reviews. I don't know. I don't know what I said, to be honest. Janet. But thank you for reminding me. And I did say me white rabbits this morning before midday. 3 white rabbits. And on that wonderful superstition note, is it vape related what you need? No, it's tell you what it is. Tell you what it is, you want. Bread. Bread, I've run out of bread. And also, I love Lincolnshire sausages, pork sausages. Love them. Love them. And I've run out of them. Because normally I have a sandwich in them. And a couple of other mad items. Especially water. Especially water, you know, to take me tabos and that. I'm using tap water, which is okay, don't get me wrong, because that's tap water in there. Normally, I have strawberry flavoured, sugar-free. And it's just, you know, it gives you the nice taste from the ordinary, like, water, if you know what I mean. So I have that as well. So he's got to get me 3 large bottles of that. Basically, that's it. A couple of other items as well I forgot about. And that's it. That's it. And I can drink tepid wine or cold. I love tepid Rosso, yeah, wine. I used to drink wine and soda when I used to go out, like wine soda. I always drank that. Then I went off it. And Davey says, tap water equals council pop. Yes. And we have to pay for it. Everything isn't free. Your grandson says Wednesday. Oh, yeah. Yes. I know he did say Wednesday. Yes. I said that. I see you there Wednesday, granddad. I said, okay. I wanted it done today. I thought he would have been down. Or at least tomorrow, but the lad's coming down before he goes to work. And on that wonderful note, I'll see you, hopefully some of yous tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, some of yous on Thursday. Ciao.
I'm just a